9:33.
Okay, yeah.
Open the meeting. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Gary Menon, present.
Hassett, present.
Lane, present. Just remind everybody to silence their cell phones. And if you could stand, face the flag, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. So we do have minutes available for review and approval, the executive session. So I'd ask the two members that were here for the executive session if they have any input.
I do.
Okay. And what I would recommend, you have quite a bit of input?
A paragraph.
Okay.
I didn't see these minutes until just...
Right, so that's what
I
I
was
would...
preparing the
Yeah.
minutes, if you will. So,
Oh.
But I see they prepared the minutes, but there's a paragraph I'd like to insert.
Okay, so what I would recommend that you do is reduce that to writing or electronically.
Okay?
Send it to Gail so that she can review for the next meeting,
Okay?
and we will handle these minutes at the next meeting. Rather than to discuss any changes in open session about an executive session.
That's fine.
I apologize for them being late, but I wanted that to be reviewed.
I want to let people know, I told Elaine that there was really no rush for the minutes for this meeting, so you could also alternatively discuss the changes to the executive session minutes when in the executive session, okay? But they have to be voted on to approve in open session. So you can agree to the changes or not agree to the changes, or whatever you want to do in the executive session, but then they would go in front of us at the next open session and voted on and during an open session. So you can't vote to approve the minutes, even executive session
Even
minutes.
if we agree at the executive session, it still has to come here.
It has to be voted upon during the open session. That's all.
Now,
You can agree.
When I send this stuff electronically, is there any confidentiality problem with
Don't
that?
deliberate. It's not you sending it to her.
I can't
Gail
respond.
can't change and send it back to you.
I recognize
That's
that, but
deliberation.
I recognize it's not
No,
deliberation.
that's just like when Elaine sends us,
But it's otherwise confidential information, is it not?
it is protected, yeah.
So am I violating any protections by doing this electronically?
No. And if anyone ever requested through a public records request, your emails, because they are public, it would have to be redacted from the email.
Okay,
That's how that's resolved.
all right.
But if you want to handle it during executive session, that's fine. Just don't vote to approve them. We can discuss it at the next open meeting
Okay.
and say that you have agreed on these, make a motion, second, vote. I'm not going to vote, obviously, because I wasn't here for the executive session, so, and I'm not even going to be a part of it, so. Okay, so that's clear? Okay, so at this point, we're just continuing the discussion on the minutes until the executive session, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, do we have an agent report?
Since we met just last week, I have really no further updates.
Okay. You had sent some questions in about the last agent report. Do you have questions you want to ask?
No, I
saw an
had sent
email
some
about that.
information to Kathy.
Okay.
Because I saw a couple of discrepancies, and I wanted to clarify, were they there or weren't they there, but I didn't expect to have them done.
Well, I didn't ask the question. Do you want to clarify it, or?
No, I mean, were you clear what I'm looking for?
I gave you what you asked for.
Yeah.
And you gave me what I asked for, and I replied that,
I don't have those answers because I don't, with the activity report. So
Okay.
I gave them to David because you're questioning his activity report.
So David does have the answers. That's what you're
I
saying.
do have the answers, and I'm happy to explain.
Okay.
So, Gary, they asked for Title V's 56 Kendall Hill Road. There was none done in 2025. Your question was, David's activity report indicates on 6/16 that he reviewed it. So as clarification for that particular question, Gary, Title V inspection report, on 6/16, I have an address of 56 Kendall Hill Road, review Title V. In my error, I put down 56. It should say 53 Kendall Hill Road. Just to help clarify that, the client's name on 6/16 in the agent's report, Joe F., corresponds with the inspection report, the homeowner's name on 53 Kendall Hill Road. So an error in a numeric number of 56, it should have been 53. That should provide explanation for that request. You also had one under food inspections, 35 Choxet Road. No permits were issued. That's Hope Chapel. They do not sell food there. They prepare food, or they distribute food to their members only. There's no transfer of sale of food, so no food permits have ever been issued at that establishment. Gary's question, David's activity report, 5/13, May 13th, indicates that one was done there. So I pulled up my activity report from May of 13th. It does say Hope Chapel, the address, 35 Choxet Road. The description says food. Hope Chapel did a substantial construction build-out this year, and they asked me for assistance and guidance on the construction activities of what was being approved there. So my description probably wasn't to the point where it was a food inspection, but it did say food. So I hope that provides enough clarity for those two questions that were unanswered.
can you provide any clarity on what you discussed with them in terms of your advice?
I recall something to the effect of what they were building out there. Should they have a grease trap or something underneath the sink? But since it was May, I don't have anything more than that, Gary.
Okay.
All right? Okay. All right, going on, we have no new business to attend to at this meeting. Our old business, we have the comprehensive policy and procedure review, specifically the communication policy update. So I had sent out an update on the communication policy, and Gary had sent out some comments as well. So we'll start the discussion with you, Gary.
Okay, my comments I'd given to her to take a look at. Can I look at yours?
Yep.
I don't have copies. Okay, the changes I made to Rich's draft on section Roman numeral 5, communication, paragraph A, I added the comment to the end of that paragraph, inclusive of executive session requirements. So it says on paragraph A, communication between Board of Health members is regulated by law. Members should be familiar with the open meeting law, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, sections 20 through 23, inclusive of executive session requirements. That's a comment I made. Any questions on that?
Yep. So Chapter 21 is the executive session requirements,
And
so it's redundant.
so is section 2023, it's the open meeting law.
Well, the open meeting law is sections 20 to 23 is the whole open meeting law, but Chapter 21 is specific to executive session requirements.
I guess I'm not just emphasizing that. That's all.
Yeah, in a policy, a redundancy, I don't think redundancy is necessary. So you mention it, and that's what we did when we say Chapter 38, sections 20 to 23. Why wouldn't you say inclusive of whatever 20 and 23 is, Chapter 21 is executive session. Again, I've written a lot of policies, a lot of procedures.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't like redundancy because you're emphasizing one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
made comments on the, I
Yeah.
don't know if you received them.
Okay.
I made comments on the website, that there was a lot of redundancy there.
I agree.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's when I cut.
I did
cut
too.
that down. Okay.
Right? I mean, I sent out quite a long list of
Did you
things.
get my comments on that?
I did,
Okay.
yeah. A lot of them, some of them were what I said, but we're not talking about the website right now.
Right.
But, and I agree that we shouldn't have redundancy, and just, I don't want to go too far into the website, but not only that, but there are a number of ways to get to a certain thing, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be, if you want to see bylaws, then you go to one click,
Right. I agree.
And I think that's, again,
That was
I'm
my-
getting way off topic, but I think that's part of why some of our minutes aren't included, because I think there's two different databases for minutes, and
Well, they never uploaded onto
Yeah.
the new platform our minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got the agendas and not the minutes.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, it
Yeah.
was just dropped in our lap.
let's not talk too much about the
Sorry.
I just
website.
want to say there was always on the old format, 2 different places for
Right,
minutes.
right.
There always was.
Yeah, okay, so let's keep going on
Okay,
the,
paragraph E, I added a parenthetical note at the bottom of that paragraph. It says, note, colon, as the Board of Health consists of 3 elected members, communication between any 2 or more members outside of a public meeting is forbidden unless that communication does not constitute deliberation.
yeah, and again, I would say that that's redundant to paragraph A, because that is included in the open meeting law. It specifically says,
All included in the open meeting law.
right,
So you could get rid of E too, you could get rid of,
no, because what E is saying is that you're not speaking on behalf. The whole idea behind paragraph E is, Rich Lane, when he's talking to somebody out in the public, is not speaking as a Board of Health member on a specific issue unless I've been approved by the Board of Health to do that. That's the idea behind paragraph E. So paragraph E is not member to member, because that's handled in paragraph A. Paragraph E is member to anyone other than a member of the board.
Okay,
So it actually says outside of an open meeting with a member of the public.
all right.
So that was the idea behind paragraph E.
I thought the emphasis was worthy of that.
Again, but that is encompassed in the open meeting law.
Okay, all right. Next item, paragraph I. This is some extension changes here. The Board of Health has 1 cell phone, hereinafter to be referred to as the phone, that will or has been issued to the health agent as the custodian thereof. The following general conditions apply to the use of that phone by any Board of Health employee or member. So paragraph K, Roman numeral I, A, expenses for the phone shall be paid for by the Board of Health. The phone is issued for Board of Health business only. C, installing or using non-work-related applications, games, or entertainment platforms is not permitted. D, using the phone for illegal activities, harassment, or downloading inappropriate content is forbidden. E, all Board of Health members and employees shall have access to the phone number. Roman numeral 2, the following specific usage conditions shall apply to the phone when it has been assigned to a specific Board of Health employee or member, heretofore to be referred to as the custodian of the phone. Roman numeral 2A, the phone shall be active, parenthetical on, at all times during normal working hours and on all off business hours when that employee is using the phone during the execution of Board of Health business. B, no carrier feature of the phone shall be disabled at any time. C, the custodian shall answer all calls with the salutation, "Hello, Sterling Board of Health, may I help you?" or reasonable facsimile. D, the custodian shall enable the voicemail feature at all times by indicating that a message may be left for the Board of Health's considerations since the custodian, parenthetical name, is currently unavailable. E, the voicemail inbox shall be maintained as accessible to callers continuously, i.e. the mailbox should never be full insofar as possible. To facilitate this requirement, all voicemail message, after having been heard and understood, must be deleted and deleted no later than close of business for that day. F, the carrier for the Board of Health's phone is Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless provides an included service called Verizon Family that allows authorized users, parenthetical statement, Board of Health members and the custodian, to locate the phone whatever the phone is on. That service must be active at all times while the phone is on, and as such, the associated necessary permissions and apps will be enabled at all times that the phone is on. And that's it.
So my overall comment to all these is it's unusually specific. And what I mean by that is you state the Board of Health has one cell phone. So this is our policy. We're putting in writing that we have one cell phone. What if we buy another one?
Well, I've been associated with the Board of Health for close to 15 years, and we've never had another one. In fact, we had enough trouble getting this phone to be designated as was promised back 5 years ago when we went through this process.
Okay.
Yes.
But
Doesn't Kathy and David have a phone?
No, I do not. I use my own phone when I text and everything.
Oh, okay, I thought you had Board of Health.
No, I do not.
the confusion is the phone is actually in Kathy's name.
Because I ordered it, and it's what we just left it that way.
So normally you're not so specific. You basically say Board of Health cell phone. So if sometime down the road we wanted to buy the animal inspector a cell phone for whatever reason or expanded his responsibilities, now we have to go back. It's not typical to write a policy that is so specific. And that's why, if you read my version, cell phones, there's the explanations why we have cell phones.
Well, I
And
think
then we may
maybe-
issue cell phones to employees or members. So, and that's what we've done. We've issued a cell phone to an employee, and it's just, I think it says the same thing, but not so unusually
If you
specific.
feel, I'll make this blanket statement, if you feel that your more general procedure or policy covers all these items effectively,
Well, let me go through them.
Okay, fine.
Because you went through them all, now I want to go through them all. Okay. So yes, I think that's too specific. I think the general way it's written originally, and yeah, I wrote it, but is more applicable because it applies how you wrote it, and it applies to any future aspect of
that's
it
what I
as
want,
well.
that's the statement I'm just trying to make. If you feel that everything I have in here is effectively covered by what you have,
Okay.
then I'm fine.
Let me finish, because I'm not done yet.
All right.
All right? Yes, I think the general way it's written in the original covers this.
Covers what?
Is that the paragraph where it says one cell phone,
Okay.
okay? We've already said the Board of Health may issue cell phones to employees and members, and then we cover all that other stuff. And it carries on into the future if we get a second cell phone. So expenses for the payphone should be paid for the Board of Health. Yep, I agree with that. The phone is issued for Board of Health business only. I will say that if you look at any policies now, that's not written anymore. And it's written the way that I wrote it. Phones are issued for Board of Health business. But I don't know any companies, or even in the public sector, government sectors, that say you can only use it for Board of Health. Because the way that, and before it used to be you paid by minutes, right? So the government interest was, we don't want to be paying for his personal business. And I can remember being a government employee for as long as I was. At one point in time, I had to notify my employer which of my phone calls were personal, and I would have to reimburse. Then the billing went to not minutes, but a monthly charge. And once it went to a monthly charge, they did, as long, and there was no minute limitation, the policies changed their tone and said, listen, we're giving it to you for Board of Health business, right? Or state police business, or whatever department. You can use it for reasonable personal business, like calling home to make sure your kids got home from school and stuff like that. Because we don't want you to have to carry 2 phones. But you have to understand that it has to be reasonable, and the whole idea is that you're not conducting all your personal business on government time. So that's why I wrote it the way I did, okay? Limited personal use is permissible during work hours, limited. And I think that's much more reasonable than saying Board of Health business only. I don't think that's reality anymore,
I'm not that concerned about that.
Okay, all right. So, and again, it's already installing non-work-related applications. That's typical. Using cell phones for illegal activities, that's in there. That's typical. I have no objection to letter E, all Board of Health members and employees shall have access to the phone number. I mean, I don't have any objection to it. That's kind of strangely specific too. I know that originally you didn't have the number, and
Correct.
there was an issue, but you got the number, right? So, I'm assuming that's why you put it in there. That's fine. So I also noticed that you kind of contradicted. So when you wrote that first paragraph that it's going to the health agent, now this paragraph down here talks about being assigned to specific Board of Health employee custodian of the phone. So you're kind of changing the tone where someone else might have the phone, which is exactly why you want to be general. Because say, and I'm sorry to use this example, but say David goes out injured for whatever reason, right? And now we need to give the phone to somebody else because they're filling in. That's exactly why you say you stay general, not specific. And I don't have any objections that the phone is on and active during work,
And all off business hours when that employee is using the phone during the execution of Board of Health.
Well, that's work hours,
Okay.
right? You're saying...
One said normal working hours.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. We can actually just take out the word normal, right? How about during all working hours? And that covers everything. Because again, if he's called out for an emergency,
What are the normal working hours?
it's, what is it? When do you work? 7 to 4?
9 hours, I usually come 6:30 to 4:30.
There you go. But if you got called in because there was a flood in the restaurant, we'd want your phone on.
But that's 6:30 to 4:30. Is that inclusive of lunchtime? I don't know what the employee handbook says. It's not my fault.
I would think it has to be. I think some of the laws say you have to take lunch.
6:30 to 4:30 is more than 8 hours, right?
Yeah. Normally, within your working hours, there is time for lunch and time for breaks.
Okay, but 6:30 to 4:30,
You work 40 hours, but you work 4 hours on Friday, right?
No, unless I have an emergency or something that comes up where I'm trying to get caught up, I typically don't come in on Fridays.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Could I just say something? He's basically on call 24/7 because you can have an emergency at any time.
Right.
So you can't say that there's normal working hours, that you're pigeoned into those working hours?
No,
Because
we're not.
he's basically on call.
Yeah, but there are normal, we're not we're not saying, but just like, I've worked on call, but I work, basically 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but I was on call 24/7, right? So my hours would be 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Same thing with David. It's the same idea with David. And, I'm comfortable with saying the phone shall be active at all times during working hours. I think that pretty much covers it all, because if you do get called in, like, there's a flood at a restaurant.
I don't have a
okay?
problem with it.
All right, then you turn your phone on. I imagine that they probably contact you through the phone, so. I don't understand when you say no carrier features of the phone shall be disabled at any time. What do you mean carrier feature?
Carrier feature is, for example, the Verizon family plan.
All right.
Or voicemail.
So you talk about voicemail and you talk about the family plan. I'm not really clear. Are those the only two carrier features? I'm not sure which.
I don't know if there's that. I don't know if there's others.
What if there's a carrier feature that we don't want enabled?
I think we should know about that ahead of time.
Okay.
I mean, is there any carrier? I got to find out what all the carrier features are.
Well, but that's why we're discussing this now.
Okay, then I don't have those. So
Yeah.
I'm not complete on that. I don't know what all the carrier features are. But I feel comfortable in my using cell phones for the last 20 years. I've never had this issue, and I used cell phones when I was working for GE as a field engineer.
But what issue? What issue?
Any issues about carrier features. And nothing was ever disabled, and I never had any problems with anything being on.
Yeah, I don't understand what the term carrier feature means.
Carrier features such as voicemail. That's a feature of the phone. You have voicemail on the phone.
I don't know. How do you shut off voicemail?
I don't know that you can
You
or
don't set
can't.
it up.
That's a good word.
All right, well, you've addressed that in E, as far as voicemail. So that's even off the table in B, because you've already addressed it specifically in E.
I'd like to make a statement on E. I think that must be deleted no later than the close of business for that day. I think that's maybe too soon, because sometimes when you're working on something, you have multiple facets, and you want to go back and listen again. If you've deleted
I'm
it.
trying to be reasonable there, and I agree with you. If you want to extend that a bit, but what I'm finding is when I call the phone, it's fairly regular that the mailbox is full.
So, and that's a good point. And I think it probably, and I kind of had the same comment that Gail did. I don't delete my voicemails every day. I would ask everybody, do you delete your voicemails every day? But it is reasonable, it's definitely reasonable to say your voicemail box can't be full. A voicemail box of a government employee should not be full. We've all had that situation trying to call somebody, whether it be, some professional, whether it be your plumber, your electrician, or whatever, and their voicemail box is full. It's very frustrating. So I think there should be something in there that the voicemail box shall not be allowed to be full. And it shall be cleared at reasonable times so that doesn't occur, or something to that effect. Again, I have to always try to look at myself. I don't clear my voicemail every day. I do make sure.
I don't clear it every day either, but at least I leave space in there.
Well, that's your point there, right?
I think we should stop it. The mailbox should never be full insofar as possible.
No, it should never be full.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's always possible that it's,
Okay.
because you can handle it. I mean,
Not every voicemail that you'll receive is
So
urgent.
in the event of a catastrophic event, his voicemail box may be full if everybody's calling him and he can't get to everybody.
Yeah.
But that's a rare occasion.
yeah.
But if you have a catastrophic situation, you should record them so people can try to reach it.
Well,
I hear you, but at the same time.
sometimes you're
life
actually
happens.
handling the situation. And
Right, I recognize.
Life happens and you can't.
Yeah, I'm not that concerned about those nuances like that.
And you always have to put reasonableness into the situation. So that's the good thing when we call these policies, because these are generally what we do. If it was a procedure, then that's what we would have to do. You know, that's the difference between a policy and procedure.
What's the difference between policy and procedure?
A procedure tells you specifically how to do something.
And this is a
right?
procedure.
This is a policy.
This is a policy, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we talk about comprehensive policy and procedures, but this is the communication policy. Okay. So I fully agree the mailbox should never be full. And I agree. I think we could leave it never be full, or insofar as reasonably possible, you know, something like that. If we want to take all things into consideration. And I do think that your last paragraph, again, is unusually specific. We may change carriers, right? The town, we piggyback off the town's contract. By the way, we're the only department that basically has our own contract with Verizon through the town. But all the other phones are handled by one person, except for the police. And then the Board of Health, being unique, has its own, like Kathy handles the account for our phone. If you work for the building department doesn't handle their own phone. So I don't want, again, it's very specific. We could change carriers if we get a better deal, you know? Now, the idea behind this is you want the location services on.
Correct.
So we should address that.
Right.
So the location services of the phone shall be enabled. So, well, it can only be when it's on.
Right.
Yeah.
But you might put in there if we change a policy, we go to another carrier, that feature shall be provided by that carrier. I mean, I can get that with my wife's phone, which she gets to be basically an account through not Verizon, but through another account server, and I get mine through.
Well, that's exactly my point, Gary.
Right.
It doesn't have to be Verizon.
Right.
So let's not be so narrowly specific.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So far as that feature that we decide to go
Right.
to another carrier, then we still maintain that feature.
So your idea is that the location feature shall be enabled.
Correct.
I don't have any strong opposition to that. I mean, if you plow for the state, they do it. Every single cruiser on the state police, the radio, everything does it. The construction company that I worked for, we knew where everybody was all the time. Actually, it was used for billing. So I don't have an opposition to it. I'll tell you, I'm not going to be, I don't have time to track people myself. So, but I don't have a huge opposition to it.
Okay, I'm fine.
Okay. All right, so we'll make those changes. Obviously, we can't finalize it because we got to make the changes. I'll make the changes that are necessary in my copy, and I will send it out, and we can discuss it more at the next
January
business.
8th.
Yeah, at our next.
Can we,
No, that's yours.
I'd just like to say, we're going to review this at the next regularly scheduled Board of Health meeting, which is the second Thursday of the month in January.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be January 8th.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, my daughter's birthday, and I should have, when I told my associates at home, they don't want me to have a meeting that day. Can we move that meeting to another day? Only because of my personal issue with my daughter's birthday on January 8th. I could do it on the Wednesday before.
This counts against you, by the way, in your
Okay, well,
in your check marks. Okay. What were you saying? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I could do it the Wednesday before. 7th?
But we also have to check to see
Is
whether
the room open?
Well,
and normally not on. Well, that's the first Wednesday.
January
I don't
2026.
know, that's only like a couple of weeks away. Wouldn't it be better to go farther out?
I'm fine with either one.
Gary, you looking up the rooms?
Well, that's David.
David, sorry.
And I don't
Go
know.
ahead, you can.
I don't know if the room's available or
I'm
not.
sorry.
That's what David's doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, let's look at the 15th, January 15th.
7th or the 15th, either one, right? The 15th work for you too?
That's the following the Thursday.
Following Thursday? That should be okay.
On the 15th at 5 PM, the Finance Committee is meeting in this particular room.
Yeah, they usually meet the week after us.
And they go a lot longer than.
Well, yeah, they will be more here
Especially
more
now.
than an hour. What about the 7th?
There's nothing booked for the 7th.
Or let's book the 7th then.
7th is the Wednesday,
Yes,
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay? All right. '26. I do not have any response from town council or DEP update on the home and green burials yet. I didn't actually expect it, but I did want to keep a placeholder there just in case we did hear back.
Did they acknowledge receiving it?
Yes, it's at town council. I
Well-
did not receive any acknowledgement from DEP that they received it. I will reach out to them again.
Just want to make sure they have it, they acknowledge they have
I don't know if I
it.
sent it.
Next thing you know, that they say, well, I never received that. No, it went into my trash bin or went into my spam folder.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. But if they're not, what do I do? I mean, if they don't acknowledge the email, are they going to acknowledge the email that I want acknowledged?
Well, you call them.
Easier said than done. But I will try to make sure they get a confirmation.
Okay.
I do know some people there. They reach out to me, right, Kathy? I can reach back out to them.
Exactly.
Right? So that's it for old business. Public session? Anyone? Nobody's here for public session?
Can the board member speak at public session?
You
As a resident?
you can.
You can, okay. Just saying,
You
so we
could-
could be
why-
here for public session, that's all.
There's nobody outside of unusually specific, Karen.
All right.
No? Okay. I'm trying to be nice about that, by the way.
Well,
Use that term.
You got to recognize, you came from a background, I came from the nuclear service background, and everything had to be verbatim compliance.
Well-
And so they wanted us to be very specific. You turn a valve, so many degrees.
And I understand that.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
That's part of my training. So
But that's-
I've been ingrained.
Okay. Fair analysis. All right. So there's no public session. We have our next session set up for January 7th. The only other thing on our agenda is the executive session. So I will entertain a motion to enter executive session for reason number 1, to discuss complaints brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, and the board shall reconvene to open session only to immediately adjourn. And this executive session is continued from December 4th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
It has to be a roll call.
Gary Menon, aye.
Hassett, aye.
Lane, aye. So we are in executive session now.